So do you need a contract as a makeup artist? That is exactly what I'm going to be answering in today's video. What to include, what not to include. Let's get started. Welcome back to the Freelance for Freedom YouTube channel. I am so excited to talk about today's topic because if there's one thing I want to see more of, it's six-figure freelancers, in particular makeup artists, hair artists, photographers, stylists, creatives. Let's get you booked. Contracts. Why do we need them? Basically, it means that you know exactly what you are agreeing to and on what terms. And a contract is actually helpful for you and the client. So when people say to me, Harry, I do this kind of work, do I still need a contract? The answer is yes. My personal recommendation would always be to have a contract, also known as a deal memo, because everyone knows where they stand. It's always going to be so much easier to track down money for a job you've done when you have something the client had agreed to, especially when it comes to terms and conditions. What do you need in a contract? Well, first of all, you want to know exactly what the job entails. For example, how many talent is there? Where are you going to be? What are the hours you're going to be working? And what is the rate that is agreed? That's the first thing. The second thing you want to think about is overtime. So at what point does it become overtime when someone is working with you, and how much will you charge? Usually every other hour after the allotted hours that you consider as part of either your half day rate or your full day rate. The next thing you want to think about is cancellation fees. So what happens if someone cancels the job with you? At what point would they have to pay, if any, part of the amount of the services that were going to be done? Is it 24 hours? Is it 48 hours? Again, depending on what kind of creative you are, will often depend on what terms feel good to you and are common within your market and your niche. So you want to make sure you have overtime, you have cancellation terms. And the reason the deal memo or the contract is so important is because you want the client to sign it. So until the client signs that contract, in my opinion, what you have is an option. You don't have a confirmed booking until the contract is signed by the client. My recommendation when it comes to contracts is making sure that you work with some kind of contract attorney who knows your jurisdiction. I can never say that word. Jurisdiction. Who knows your jurisdiction, understands the city you live in, the country you live in, and knows the rules that are applicable to where you are based and where the majority of your work you are operating out of. That would be my recommendation, but you do want to say to a contract attorney, I need to make sure that I have in there cancellation terms and my overtime terms. That's going to be really important. Let's say even if it's a weather day, sometimes jobs can get cancelled because of things like a weather day. What is your policy if they do cancel because of weather and it's within 24 hours? What happens in that scenario? You want to go into every job knowing that whatever happens, whatever circumstances, you are completely covered. You know exactly what money you are going to be getting, when you are going to be getting it, because that's the other thing within a contract or payment terms is stating the payment terms in the contract where the client can agree to. To say on an invoice alone, my payment terms are 30 days, whatever it is that you choose. If a client hasn't signed anything to agree to that, their payment terms could be 90 days. So you want to make sure that you have them agree to your payment terms. My favorite thing I tell my clients is when you have a contract, when you have a deal memo, you will always be able to say to a client if they question anything, whether that's a rate, your overtime, your payment terms, you'll always be able to say, as per our agreement, and just show them the part of the contract that they have signed. So there's nothing to be questioned your end. You're like, hey, here's what you signed. It gets to be friendly, it gets to be amicable, and it's incredibly professional. And one of the coolest things you get inside Freelance for Freedom, which is my lifetime group program for creative freelancers, especially makeup artists, hairstylists, stylists, is you actually get a copy of the Money Manual book. Now, this is actually our guide to money mindset, rates, and negotiating like a CEO. And I want to give you an example of what is covered in here because we go in depth of working through your money stuff with you. We'll help you look at attracting premium clients, setting your rates, questions you should be asking. We give you our 5-step to yes framework within negotiations. We show you how to get more from existing clients, how to handle objections, and what to do when the rate is agreed. Lots of questions answered in there about building your rates. If you haven't watched my previous video around setting your rates, I'm going to pop that somewhere up here. But again, inside Freelance with Freedom, this is one of my clients' favorite resources, because anytime you're negotiating or talking demos with a client, you'll be able to get this up and have absolutely everything you need. Bottom line, if there isn't a contract, the job didn't happen. So that's what I want you to start thinking about. Having a contract, it's not an inconvenience to your client. Any client that doesn't want to sign a contract, to me, would always be a red flag. So I want you to keep that in mind and start having these practices in place so you can build a business as a makeup artist that is both professional and sustainable. If this video has been helpful to you, I would love it if you share with another creative so we can spread that goodness around and get more creatives being successful as we destroy the dog-eat-dog narrative and destroy the starving artist narrative while we're at it. If you've enjoyed this video, I would love for you to subscribe. We have some really exciting things coming in the future for you. I will leave all the details down below, and I'll see you in the next one.